Thank you. The Appleton Public Library is on track to open early next year. Tonight, the public fundraising effort has reached a new milestone.
Organizers just $1 million away from reaching a $12 million goal, covering about 30% of that project. In a First Alert update, Jason Zimmerman highlights what still needs to happen.
At the site of construction for the Appleton Public Library, there's a lot of activity as the new building begins to take shape. Much of it thanks to a public fundraising project involving more than 200 donors.
It represents the care that the Friends of the Public Library have for the community and for this project, and all the generous donors who've contributed. To be at $11 million against a $12 million target is it's an incredible achievement for everybody.
To mark the occasion, a topping out ceremony was held Tuesday afternoon, led by the building project team, where the last steel beam was signed and slowly raised into place. People from across the community came to participate, and those pushing to raise the last of the $12 million goal spoke about crossing the finish line.
We still have $1 million to get, so we have feelers out. We have people we're still talking to, but we need as much help as we can get from folks in the community. And this community has been so supportive. I'm sure we're going to get there.
Right now, the library is operating from a temporary location on East College Avenue. The director says the biggest change in the new building will be the line of sight and open concept.
When you walk in the doors, you're going to see the third floor. You're going to see down to the lower level. It's just going to be an amazing visibility that in a building that had very little visibility.
Construction is expected to wrap up late this year, and the library hopes to have the doors open soon after that. Reporting in Appleton, Jason Zimmerman, Action 2 News.